Recently, I was talking with a friend about our shared interests when we were younger in dinosaurs, and she mentioned that she'd recently picked up a copy of Jurassic Park, like the novel, which the movies and stuff were later based on. And I decided I might try reading it too. Like, I really enjoyed the movies, and I know it's not quite the same as the book, and just kind of wanted to see how they compared. So, Jurassic Park by Michael Crichton. As you may already know, the story focuses on the idea that with the ability to genetically re-engineer creatures by putting together their DNA, like this really eccentric, wealthy person who runs a genetic engineering company decides that it would be a wonderful idea to recreate dinosaurs and create this park where people can come and vacation and have fun and see like real live dinosaurs. Like, it seems like an extremely great marketing opportunity, and it also seems like a way for him to kind of make his mark on the world, I suppose. So he gets all these different experts in different fields, including a paleontologist who's well known in this context of this book for his discovery of dinosaur eggs and stuff, because this is pretty early, I guess, in people's um, forays, I guess, into studying dinosaurs, where people are still trying to piece together like what kind of behavior they had. Like, there's still arguments over whether they're warm-blooded or cold-blooded animals. And anyways, he gets together all these people, like gets their expertise, and ends up managing to actually create an island where there are real live dinosaurs by collecting DNA from like the blood preserved in insects that drink from different dinosaurs. Only as things begin to get on track and it seems like he might be able to open his park, a number of people start to express concerns. Like, there have been strange animal attacks in the area around the island where his park is located. Like, there's even been a specimen picked up that people think might be something dinosaur-like, and all of these concerns basically means that he kind of has to prove to his partners and stuff that opening this park to the public is still a good and feasible idea. So in order to prove this, he invites a bunch of the experts that he originally had contacted. So he brings in the computer science guy who did their network stuff. He brings in the mathematician that he hired to help model like how things might go, and of course the paleontologist whose work in like young dinosaur behavior and possible habits and habitat and food source, everything like that, he relied a lot on like when he was setting out on this endeavor. And the paleontologist brings his assistant. And in addition, against the better judgment of everybody else, he also invites his grandkids. So the two kids come along, and then there's the lawyer that works for him, who's really kind of still trying to decide whether or not he thinks the park should be shut down. So all of these people get brought to visit Jurassic Park for the first time, like before it opens to the public, and to evaluate like how things are going. And at first it seems like they pretty much have done what they set out to do. It's like a really amazing place, and they've managed to recreate several different species of dinosaurs. Like, they let the visitors go around and like view the different facilities that they have, only there are a lot of things that aren't quite working yet that the staff don't really necessarily want to explain, and they're also hiding like all the problems that they have had with like aggression and stuff in the dinosaurs, and like whether or not they're actually able to control them. Like Hammond, he's the guy who's funding this whole operation, keeps saying that it's safe and that they have everything under control, but a major element of this book really is the focus on how human arrogance, I guess, gets in the way, where like people often feel like they have control over all these complex creatures and systems and stuff just because humans were the ones who made them. But a lot of times that isn't true, really, because life is much, much more complicated than that. Like, in the words of the mathematician, I guess, like when you create life, you kind of have to expect it to try and break through the boundaries that you set around it, because historically that's just what life has always done. And true to these cautionary stories, I suppose, things basically start to fall apart. And just to make things even worse, like one of the members of the group was hired by a competing company also interested in genetics to try to steal like dinosaur embryos, because they, well, are a competing company and it's obviously going to be very lucrative and stuff like that. So as things in the park begin to break down and they start to lose control over the dinosaurs, like some of the members are stranded out in the park and have to make their way back, like without getting killed. And then you have like the people in the main facilities trying to survive now that a lot of the defensive mechanisms are failing, and then having to go out and fix a lot of the issues that are going on with their equipment, like their security fences and stuff like that, and also trying to get their communications back online so that they can call for rescue. And this book is basically follows the disaster of what happened at this park. So let's see. I did really enjoy the book. I think there are, I don't remember the movie well enough to say for certain. Like there are a lot of similarities, though I can see scenes that you find, I think, across movies 1 and 2. Like there was an opening prologue scene on the beach of an attack that I'm pretty sure was at the beginning of movie 2. But like I think I enjoyed the somewhat slower pace that you got in the book. Like, I mean, it was a little weird how long it took the people at the beginning to realize that dinosaurs might be involved. Like, there's all these sequence of events of people who brush up against these occurrences but don't make that connection with the information that they had. Like, it takes a long time before you really start to unpack what Hammond and stuff is up to at his park. But I think it was kind of a nice pacing as far as book goes, and I think the book has them exploring a lot more different areas in the park. Like I think the pterosaurs were like the flying, well, they're not technically dinosaurs, but like they weren't introduced, I think, till later movies, whereas they were also introduced in this book because the park was divided into these different major habitats, and a large part of it was the group that was stranded moving through each of these habitats and encountering their inhabitants. So I think that part was really interesting. And I think I wasn't really expecting the commentary related to like humans' relationship with science, but I thought the mathematician had a lot of really insightful comments. Like he was a super pessimistic person from the very beginning. Like he kept telling Hammond that this is not going to work out, and that it's a terrible idea. And I think it's really an interesting way to show, I guess, how actually I think it's a currently also kind of an issue that people aren't really dealing with, but a lot of times with people, I think you get really in love with the idea that you can do something and don't stop to think about whether you should do it, like whether or not it's actually a good idea. Like people get a new technology and they all pile on the bandwagon and want to use it to do all these things, and they forget that we really don't have that much control or that much understanding about a lot of the process that surround the things that we are dealing with. Like it was interesting how I described science as like an inherited wealth, where like a lot of other areas of power, I suppose, like being a martial arts master requires like long years of dedication and usually a certain degree of passion and stuff. And by the time you actually are able to utilize your knowledge, like you've acquired a degree of self-discipline and awareness where you know when not to use your abilities. Whereas because science is like an accumulated knowledge base that everyone can tap into, like people can use it willy-nilly and think only about profit and not about like the ethics of the situation, and also not about how it fits into like the larger world and how the things we do affect every part of the ecosystem and can eventually come back and bite us in the behind anyway. So yeah, I thought he had a lot of really interesting comments. I also appreciated that not as many of the main characters died as I was expecting. Like I don't remember who survived and who didn't from the movie, but I had to admit I was kind of expecting just about everyone to get killed, but that actually did not happen. Like some main characters did get killed, but a more majority of them made it through more or less unscathed. So dislike. Honestly, I think the female characters in this book really sucked. Like, I think it was especially noticeable maybe because there was only two of them. Like, one was the little kid who was really annoying, especially because they made the boy like super sciency and very capable, whereas the girl just mostly screamed all the time whenever something happened, and then whenever the bad thing stopped happening, she would completely forget that there was any trouble. Like, it was super annoying how she was demanding ice cream, like when they're trying to deal with dinosaur attacks and stuff, just because she wasn't personally literally under attack at the time. It's like she suddenly loses all awareness of the overall situation, and I think I found that borderline offensive, like because it was so incredibly dumb. Like even as a kid, like especially since she wasn't the only kid, it just seemed excessively stupid. And then the only other female character was like the paleontologist student. Like while they did make comments about her being capable, and I guess she did display like things like courage and stuff in the story, but at the same time it seems like mostly what you got were, I swear, I think almost all the male main right age characters checked her out when she was introduced or something, which, yeah, overall, I think the female characters in this book really sucked.